Part 186. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1852. While they were still eating and drinking tea, Yin Tao's phone kept ringing ding, ding, and group messages came in one after another. The old lady smiled and said, "Is he already attacking you? Who would be willing to let go of Baifume who is on your lips? These scum, I hope they die, and I can tear them all into pieces." Yin Tao curled her lips and said angrily. While she was talking, she took out her mobile phone and looked at it. Sure enough, it was the men in the group who were chatting with her privately. They had different faces and postures. Some of them were like I offering a rose in a disgusting manner. There are people like Curly and Director who directly say hello, hi, beauty, and there are also people like Zhe who pretend to be a warm-hearted man and come to say hello. Dizzy, did you drink too much last night? Are you okay now? You, did you hide the message in the bathroom behind your wife's back? Yin Tao cursed, and everyone else laughed. Yin Tao turned off the group message reminder with a little hand, and the world became quiet. In the afternoon, they roughly set up the framework of the entire play. Next, to make the play flesh and blood, more hard goods are needed. Xiang Nan and Yin Tao said, "You go ahead and see how they continue." Yin Tao said yes. That afternoon, a group of them said goodbye to Lao Tao and went back to Yongcheng. The news about those people also followed Yin Tao like a shadow. While they were flirting with Yin Tao here, they were discussing it in the men's gang. Yin Tao and the screenshots of the old mop chat were sent to Xiang Nan. He said to Xiang Nan, "I can't help it. From time to time there will be pictures and videos that are inappropriate for children. Just ignore it, Captain Feng. These people probably can't live without these things every day." Xiang Nan said, "Okay, I understand, don't worry, I'm not a child either." At this time, there was another scene in the men's gang. They were obviously teasing Yin Tao with private chats, but in the men's gang, everyone pretended not to be with Yin Tao. Contact, and even showed a disdain to contact Yin Tao. Yin Tao and Xiang Nan knew that they were secretly competing with each other. In this way, they were trying to persuade other people to leave, while also leaving a way out and face for themselves in case they didn't get the chance. Yin Tao thought for a while and said to Xiangnan, "I'll give them a shock bomb." She posted in the Chi-Pa control group, "Hey, you idiots, stop chatting with me privately. If anyone chats privately again, I will publish the name and conversation and tell you that I won't read any of you guys not on." After sending it out, the group was quiet at first, and then the girls Little Fairy, Zixi, and Yesterday Breeze became active, asking Yin Tao who he was, and they told you what's up. Send the conversation quickly. These idiots all think they are more beautiful than Takeshi Kaneshiro and more talented than Wang Xiaobo and Tao Zi. Show them how powerful they are and deserve to be so angry. Little Goblin fan the flames. Yes, these village boys, kill them to death, haha. Zixi was also saying. All the men in the group were silent. Only Little Fatty was shouting, but no one paid any attention to him. The old lady asked, "Do you have me, Dizzy? If not, I will flirt with you now, with the beauty first, and everyone can tease her, otherwise the beauty will have no value in existence." "Humph, okay, come on." Peach sneered. Zixi at Lao Tuo, "I know, I think you would be such a failure without you." Lao Mo at Zixi, "What are you talking about? If I didn't flirt with you or Dizzy, you should feel like a failure. I am a painter, and my aesthetic requirements are still very high." Zixi. Yin Tao also hit. The little goblin made a smiley face. Xiang Nan looked at him and laughed, and said, "They are probably worried that you will spread his name. Did you see that the word Yao Yao didn't ring out? She must be very nervous too. She's just afraid that Sister Yin Tao, the name you pronounce is me, how can she still get along, said a girl next to her. Ding Yu let go of the car and sat in the passenger seat to the south. He kept in touch with Lao Tuo to understand the situation of the group on both sides. Lao Tuo said to her, "It's strange. There is also silence in the men's gang." Xiang Nan smiled and said, "It's not surprising, they are all beating in their hearts now. They don't know how to deal with Yin Tao, Bai Fume, who has a bit of a bad temper. The offensive strategy will be changed next," Lao Mo said with a smile. Yin Tao put her phone away, breathed a sigh of relief and said, "I can finally have some peace and quiet for a while. Boss, I suppressed my psychological reaction and sacrificed my pure heart for the sake of the group. By the way, did I also block the gun for you?" Yin Tao and Xiang Nan said. Xiang Nan smiled and said, "Okay, don't flaunt yourself, don't you just want rewards? I understand, if this drama is produced, I will give you the first credit." Yin Tao chuckled. Ding Yusong raised his head and looked at Yin Tao in the rearview mirror, and said calmly, "How do I feel?" "You are always enjoying it." "Get out," Yin Tao cursed. The next afternoon, Yin Tao was practicing in the rehearsal hall. Her cell phone rang. The young practitioner sitting there resting heard it and called out, "Sister Yin Tao, phone." Yin Tao walked over. The mobile phone in her bag was still ringing. She took it out and looked at it. It was an unfamiliar number. Yin Tao picked it up and asked, "Who?" "I'm Zhe, Dizzy." The voice of Zhe came from the phone, and Yin Tao understood almost immediately that this was what Lao Mo said and changed her offensive strategy. The reason why Zhe called her instead of chatting with her privately was because she was afraid of in case she sends the chat history to the group. Yin Tao walked out with the phone and said, "Oh, it's you, hello. Not bad." Zhe smiled, although the smile was a bit dry. "What are you doing now?" "Going to work, what else can I do?" Yin Tao said. "You still have to work on Sunday? Your boss is too cruel." Zhe said. "In our kind of work, there is no such thing as rest. I also want to." Yin Tao almost said, "I want to practice on my own," but as she spoke, she suddenly remembered that her unit in the group was not an actor in the Yongchengwu opera troupe, but a real estate company in splendid China. Yin Tao quickly said, "In our kind of work, everything is project-based, as you know." I know, by the way, your unit, I remember it is on Dixie Road, right? I happen to be passing by here, can I come and sit in your office for a while?" Zhe asked. Yin Tao was startled and said quickly, No, I'm not at work, I'm outside, I'm on a business trip in Yongcheng, we have a project here." Yin Tao thought about it and smiled slightly. "By the way, Zhe, if you are not afraid of far, you can come to Yongcheng to see me, and I will treat you to dinner." "Really?" Zhe asked. "Certainly." "Okay, how many days will you be in Yongcheng?" "I'll be there until Friday." "Okay, then I'll take leave tomorrow and go to Yongcheng to see you." "I'll go there tomorrow morning." Zhe said anxiously, his voice stammering. Yin Tao smiled to herself, she was really anxious. Yin Tao said, "There's no need to be in such a hurry, I'm very busy at noon, so if you come over tomorrow afternoon, I'll invite you to have dinner with me." "Okay, then I'll come over tomorrow afternoon." "Okay, I'll wait for you." "Goodbye, Zhe." No, it's not goodbye, but see you tomorrow afternoon." Yin Tao giggled, and after speaking to Zhe, she hung up the phone. Yin Tao stood there and smiled proudly. She knew that at this time, Zhe must be feeling ups and downs in his heart. She not only invited him to Yongcheng, but also invited him to dinner. After dinner, the long night is too time for imagination. The Bai Fume in front of me seems to have reached her mouth. Yin Tao laughed softly. She looked up and saw that at the end of the corridor, the door of Xiang Nan's office was open. The light from the door spilled into the corridor outside. Yin Tao walked towards Xiang Nan's office. When she walked to the door, she saw that Xiang Nan was there, and Ding Yusong was there. Here, he is discussing with Xiang Nan how to incorporate pop music into this play. Yin Tao walked in and told Xiang Nan what happened. Xiang Nan looked up at her and asked, "What do you want to do? Didn't you say you want to continue the play? Let's see how the play ends and what this bastard's expression looks like after it's over," Yin Tao said. Xiang Nan also became interested and asked, "What are you going to do? When he comes, of course I will treat him to dinner." While we were eating, a man came over and I introduced him, "This is my boyfriend," Yin Tao said, and Xiang Nan couldn't help laughing. "Why does the scene look so like a scene in a TV series? Yin Tao, you are really bad. Did you do this on purpose?" "Yes, they can play tricks on the cat, but I can't play tricks on them." "Don't worry about this," Yin Tao said. Xiang Nan waved his hands and said, "Okay, I don't care, but where is your boyfriend? I can sacrifice my appearance and pretend to be your boyfriend," Ding Yusong and Yin Tao said. "Go away, you little four-eyed guy, how can you do it?" Yin Tao said, "I've thought about it, let Xiao Han play my boyfriend." Xiao Han is an actor in their troupe. He is over 1.80 meters tall, about the same height as Zhang Xiangbei. He is handsome, but he can't speak, and he looks a bit girly when he does. "Then let Xiao Han sit there, just smile and don't talk," Xiang Nan said. It's okay. You haven't seen that today's celebrities are all sissies. It's normal for the spy fume to have a sissy boyfriend," Ding Yusong said. "Thank you to Quadratic VC, third from top to bottom for the reward." "Thank you Pai Wuzun, I still don't understand, Hydrogen Oxide Disinfection Knowledge Bureau, very Kachin Fei, I just love Xiaoshu, Fantasy in the Wind, ZL59, Zipanjiang1, Stuck, My Heart is Falling for You, HGX, Logo Dash's monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1853. The next afternoon, Zhe arrived in Yongcheng as expected. As soon as he got off the car, he called Yin Tao and asked her where she was. Yin Tao said that she was handling things at the construction site. "Where is your construction site? Send me the location and I will come right away," Zhe said. No, the construction site is a mess." "So, haven't you been to Yongcheng before? You can play by yourself for a while. At the riverside, Cultural Square, Yueliangping Park, etc., at 6 o'clock, we will be at the center of Yongcheng. Can we meet at the hotel's Western restaurant? Yongcheng Center is right at the Cultural Square. You'll know as soon as you ask. The restaurant is in the glass house in the Sky Garden of Yongcheng Central Hotel. It's easy to find. I've already made a reservation there." Yin Tao said on the phone. Zhe quickly said yes. The reason why they made an appointment at the Western restaurant of Yongcheng Central Hotel was because they wanted to look south. They looked out of Su Jianmi's office. There was a garden in the middle, and they could see everything in the glass house clearly. At around 5 o'clock, Xiang Nan, Ding Yusong, Yin Tao, and Xiao Han arrived at Su Jianmi's office. Su Jianmi saw them coming in and asked, "What's wrong, you big shots are all here at my little temple today?" Xiang Nan smiled and said, "Aunt Jianmi, don't worry about us. Just be busy with your own business." Ding Yusong said, "We have requisitioned your office. Use it. Su Jianmi looked at her watch. "I'm going home to make dinner. When you leave, help me close the door." Xiang Nan nodded and said yes. Ding Yusong carried all the cameras from the troupe and set them up in front of the window, facing the glass house opposite. "I have kept all the evidence of the crime, Yin Tao, so you can take care of yourself," Ding Yusong and Yin Tao said. Yin Tao snorted contemptuously, "We are fair and rich, but we won't let others touch us easily." "My dear, are you right?" Yin Tao said to Xiao Han, and Xiao Han chuckled. It was still early before the sun went down. Even if the lights were not turned on, there was plenty of light in this office. Xiang Nan was afraid that the light in the office would be too bright and that the people opposite would see the camera here if they looked over. She was not afraid of Zhe, he would see it, but he was afraid that other guests would see it and cause unnecessary misunderstandings, so Xiangnan pulled half of the curtains up, making the light in the office darker. In the Western restaurant with glass on the opposite side, the light is brighter than here, but the lights have been turned on early, so that side is bright and this side is dark. Looking over there, it is not easy to see the indoor situation here. "I'm going to go, is it this person?" He even brought flowers with him, he's carrying the ghost of time. Ding Yusong shouted. Xiang Nan and Yin Tao looked over there, and sure enough they saw Zhe walking into the Western restaurant opposite, holding a bouquet of flowers in his hand. Xiang Nan and Yin Tao laughing. "He is a warm man after all, he will never forget this." They saw Zhe walking into the restaurant, looking around. Xiang Nan used the walkie-talkie in his hand to call the foreman of the Western restaurant and told her that the one who just came in with the flowers in his hand, go and ask him. Is Tao Zi's friend, and then leads him to Channel 9. Number 9 is the platform close to the garden here. It is also the seat with the most unobstructed view from them. This was arranged in advance. They saw the foreman walking over, exchanged a few words with Zhe, and then led him over to sit down at number 9. Zhe put the flowers on the table and looked first into the dining room and then toward the garden. Although she knew he couldn't see here, Yin Tao subconsciously ducked behind the curtain and looked to the south suspiciously. Looking at her, both of them laughed. "It's time to play," Xiang Nan said to Yin Tao, and Yin Tao shook her head, "Wait a little longer." "Still playing hard to get?" Ding Yusong asked. "I want you to take care of it," Yin Tao scolded. After another 6 or 7 minutes, Yin Tao said, "Let's go." Xiao Han wanted to follow, but Xiang Nan grabbed him. The three of them, Xiang Nan and Ding Yusong, watched Yin Tao walk into the restaurant and deliberately looked both ways. Zhe kept staring at the door of the restaurant. When he saw Yin Tao walking in, he immediately stood up and looked towards the restaurant. While waving, Yin Tao walked towards him with a smile. Zhe picked up the flowers on the table and gave them to Yin Tao. Yin Tao bowed to him to express her gratitude, then sat down opposite Zhe and put the flowers on the table. The waiter came over, and Yin Tao started to order. She kept asking Zhe and ordered for him. Then, the waiter came to place the table where Zhe saw the waiter put 3 sets of dishes and was stunned for a moment. At this time, Xiang Nan knew that Yin Tao should have told him that another friend would come over. Even from this distance, Xiang Nan and the others could feel the disappointed expression on Zhe. However, at this time, Zhe was thinking that the person who was coming was definitely Dizzy's best friend, maybe another Baifume. When he thought about it, he was in a good mood. "Got up." Xiang Nan and Xiao Han said, "You can go there now." Xiao Han said yes and walked out. Xiang Nan and Ding Yusong saw Zhe sitting there, constantly talking to Yin Tao, leaning forward with his body and head, whispering. This is typical of warm men talking to women. Attitude. Yin Tao looked a little absent-minded. She nodded casually and looked back at the door from time to time. She saw Xiao Han walking in and waved to him. Xiao Han walked towards them with a smile. "Haha, this guy's face is pale." Ding Yusong stared at the screen on the camera and shouted happily. Xiao Han walked over, Yin Tao stood up, Zhe stood up too. Yin Tao introduced the two of them to each other. Xiao Han smiled and stretched out his hand, shook hands with Zhe, then sat down. Xiao Han looked at the bouquet of flowers on the table. Zhe also looked at the bouquet of flowers on the table, looking very embarrassed. If there was a hole in the ground at this time, he would crawl into it. Think to the south. Boss, tell me, this guy's intestines are full of regret now. Why did he fall for Yin Tao's tricks and come to Yongcheng? Ding Yusong asked. Who is to blame? Yin Tao didn't tell him why he came to Yongcheng. He didn't have to come. If you want to blame him, it's also his own lust, Xiang Nan said. Xiang Nan called Lao Tuo and told him the matter. Lao Tuo shouted. No way, he really went? What, with flowers? Haha, this guy is in the men's gang, but he didn't reveal anything at all. No, Curly Hair asked him if he was there tonight arrangement. He also told Curly that he would have dinner with friends on the way to Venson Road in the evening. Haha, he has already arrived at the Yongcheng Central Hotel, right? Xiang Nan smiled and said, it should be. Hurry up, show me the live broadcast, Lao Tuo said. Xiang Nan pointed his cell phone at the surveillance window of the camera. Lao Mo looked at it, his stomach almost hurt from laughing, and he said. More than 100 kilometers away, I could see his embarrassment and restlessness. Haha, this guy's nose was bruised and his face was swollen after falling, and he was still suffering. Xiang Nan and Ding Yusong also laughed. They looked at Jie sitting there as if on pins and needles, and Xiang Nan said. Isn't this meal more uncomfortable than the Hungmen banquet? I would rather die, Ding Yusong said. Finally, the meal was finished. The three of them walked to the door of the restaurant. Yin Tao was holding flowers in her arms and talking to Jie. Jie didn't even dare to look at the flowers. Yin Tao was probably telling Jie that she and Xiao Han lived upstairs in the Yongcheng Central Hotel. Jie said goodbye to the two of them in a hurry and ran away as if running away. Xiang Nan told Ding Yusong, I can't do it anymore, I can't do it anymore. My stomach hurts from laughing. Ding Yusong couldn't help it and laughed. Yin Tao and Xiao Han pushed the door open and came in. Yin Tao asked, how is it? Is it wonderful? Xiang Nan nodded and said, yes, we can sell 21 tickets. Yin Tao giggled. Xiang Nan turned on the lights in the office, Ding Yusong quickly closed the curtains, and Yin Tao shouted, I thought of it. She handed her mobile phone to Xiang Nan, holding the bouquet of flowers in her arms and said, quickly, take a picture for me. Xiang Nan didn't know what she was going to do, but he still took pictures of her. Yin Tao took her mobile phone, repaired the picture, and immediately sent it to the Chi Pa control group, and added. Thank you so much for the flowers, I loved them. The group immediately exploded, and the little goblin asked, who did it? Is it from the group? Daisy smiled and said nothing. Xiang Nan scolded Yin Tao, I didn't expect that when you get bad, your bad ideas will come one after another. Yin Tao said proudly, of course, I have 10,000 ways to deal with the scumbag. She said and looked at Ding Yusong, who cursed, what are you looking at me for? I'm not a scumbag. She looked at Xiao Han again, and Xiao Han quickly said, don't look at me, I am neither. Xiang Nan remembered and asked, Yin Tao, what do you think Jie is doing now? Who knows, I'm too lazy to care. Why, do you sympathize with him? Yin Tao asked. Xiang Nan glared at her, suddenly realized, and asked. Yin Tao, did you deliberately let him come to Yongcheng in the afternoon? At this time, there is no car back to Hangcheng. He can only find a place to stay in Yongcheng for one night, right? Of course, Yin Tao said proudly. Omega, this night, he will toss and turn on an empty bed in a hotel in Yongcheng. It will be more uncomfortable than being bitten by fleas, Ding Yusong said. He also has to worry about whether Yin Tao will tell this person in the group, Xiang Nan said. Xiang Nan called Lao Tuo, and Lao Tuo told her, the men's gang is now more lively than the Chi Pa control, and everyone is trying to prove their innocence. Where's Jie? Have you seen Jie? Xiang Nan asked. He didn't say anything, but he sent a picture of a table with food and wine and two beauties sitting there. This showed that he was very busy and was eating with beauties on Venson Road. Lao Mo said. That's so humming disgusting, I'll expose him immediately, Yin Tao shouted. No, if you expose it now, he will kick you out immediately, Xiang Nan said. Do you think the show is over? Of course not, Yin Tao said. Thank you Hung Hung Pai for your monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1854. I'm going, this me keeps looking for me on WeChat, asking if I'm here. Yin Tao sat across from Xiang Nan's desk and suddenly called out. You go back to him and see what he wants to do, Xiang Nan said. Yin Tao replied, and after a while she cursed again, I'm going. What's wrong? Xiang Nan asked. He's asking me to borrow money, haha, he actually asked me to borrow money. Am I familiar with him? How much to borrow? 40,000. I needed to borrow 40,000 yuan, and it turned out to be white copper. Xiang Nan smiled slightly, shook his head, and asked, what's the reason? He said he had a project payment that needed to be paid. There was a contractor, something happened at home, and his son needed surgery to save his life. He was anxious to bring back 200,000 yuan, and he advanced an amount of his own money to him. The money will arrive next week, but the money on hand is not enough, so let me help him collect some and return it to me next week, Yin Tao said. Okay, you can lend it to him, Xiang Nan said. You're crazy, Yin Tao shouted, don't you know that he is probably making up a story? I know, Xiang Nan smiled and said, it's not very possible. It's most likely just making up a story. I just want to see what happens if it develops. What will happen? If this money goes out, it is very likely that there will be no return, and the meat bun will beat the dog, Yin Tao said angrily. Xiang Nan said, right, that's it. We also need to verify it. Don't you think that when this money is released, it is a story clue? If we can connect this clue and turn it into a complete plot, it will be a loss. 40,000 is also worth it. Also, if the money goes out and comes back on time, it will prove that my preconceptions about me are probably all wrong, and I will be very interested. But there are so many people in the group and I'm not familiar with him. Why didn't he ask someone else to borrow it instead of coming to me? Yin Tao asked. There are many reasons for this. First, he thought you were a rich woman and wouldn't care if you could get 40,000 yuan. He also assumed that you were very sympathetic and didn't hear that you were taking the money for a purpose. He went to save lives, and he dared to advance 200,000 yuan, but you refused 40,000 yuan, shouldn't you feel a little embarrassed? Xiang Nan looked at Yin Tao and continued, second, he may feel that he is very attractive in front of you. Some people just overestimate themselves. Just him, get out, Yin Tao snorted. Thirdly, he may feel that borrowing money from other men is not a way to save his face. After all, his wealthy persona has been established in front of the group for a long time, so he can't talk about it. You are new here, but you can open your mouth. Fourth, maybe what he said is true. He really needs the money. Moreover, he has already asked other people in the group to speak. You are not the only one, etc. Xiang Nan said, dialed Lao Tuo's number, put down the phone, and said to Yin Tao. That's right, he also asked Lao Tuo to borrow it, but Lao Tuo immediately refused, saying that he had no money. It seems that he really needs the money. Yin Tao, if you lend it to him, I just want to see what happens in the end. The result of Xiang Nan said, picked up his mobile phone, and transferred 40,000 yuan to Yin Tao via WeChat. Yin Tao took the mobile phone and asked Xiang Nan. Boss, are you really transferring? Turn around, it's my fault if you don't return it, Xiang Nan said. Yin Tao sighed and muttered, if you have money, you will be willful. 40,000 yuan a bun, just throw it away. As she spoke, she transferred 40,000 yuan to me, and me quickly said. Thank you, I will definitely return it to you next week. Daisy said, okay. Did that Zhe come to flirt with you later? Xiang Nan asked Yin Tao. Yin Tao said no, how dare he come here, he would be scared just once. Xiang Nan smiled and nodded. She also heard what Lao Mo said. After that day, Zhe never mentioned Daisy in the men's gang again. Xiang Nan felt that next time, I won't mention it anymore. They all have the leverage in Daisy's hands, and there are many people in the group with mixed opinions. Who can guarantee that if you say something in the group, no one will pass it on to her and offend Daisy in order to please Daisy? If you become popular, you will reveal all your old records. This is why Zhe still dare not kick Tao Zi out of the Chi Pa control until now. It's also possible that they still don't give up. Men, in this regard, their IQ is always worrying. They always hit the south wall and don't look back, and they don't give up even if they jump into the Yellow River. This weekend, let Ajuan and the others choose a group gathering in Hangzhou. We will go to Hangzhou again and it should be almost done. Next, we will leave it to Lao Mo. Xiang Nan talked to Yin Tao, and Yin Tao said yes in a depressed tone. She looked at Xiang Nan with her mouth flat, and asked Xiang Nan, what are you doing? I'm still thinking about the dumpling that was thrown out, Yin Tao said with a cry. Xiang Nan laughed loudly and cursed, how do you look like a white, rich, and beautiful person like you? I also want to be Bai Fume, but my strength doesn't allow it, Yin Tao said. In Hangzhou at the end of October, it was already a bit cold, but Lao Mo still wore his slippers and came here. Today's Chi Pa Control group gathering did not book in a hotel or KTV, but in a tea house on Ding'an Road. The notice said it would start at 7 o'clock, but many people came here right after work, and dinner was there too. It was settled in the tea house. The total cost is if you eat more, you will make money. When Lao Mo arrived at the tea house, he didn't see Yin Tao. He asked Zhe, why, that Tao Zi hasn't come yet? Zhe said angrily, how do I know? Curly asked, what, Lao Mo, do you miss her? Yes, you are a beauty, who doesn't want her? Lao Mo laughed loudly, don't be duplicitous and say you don't want her. I think, the director shouted. Sisi, who was sitting opposite Lao Mo, got angry for no reason. She threw the banana peel at Lao Mo and cursed, bitch. Lao Mao had quick eyes and quick hands. He blocked the banana peel with his hand. He smiled at Sisi and said, what's the point? If you hadn't come, I would have thought to. What about me? Little Goblin asked. Lao Mo scratched his head, miss you? It seems a bit difficult. Everyone laughed, and the little goblin cursed, what the hell? Yin Tao was late on purpose. She was actually a little worried. She had gone early. What if she and Zhe were alone in that scene? It wasn't that she was afraid. Yin Tao felt that it would be too embarrassing. After 6:30, the old man sent her a WeChat message saying that he had arrived, so Yin Tao drove south. She arrived at the second floor of the tea house and saw several tables on the second floor. Together, the people in the circle were people from their group, and there were no other guests. Yin Tao walked over, threw the car keys on the table, and said, whoever found this place has trouble parking. Do you want to pretend like this? There is such a big parking lot 200 meters away. When I went to park, more than half of the parking spaces were still empty. In these 10 minutes, there is no place to park. Sisi said as he spoke, his breath already smelled of gunpowder. Okay, consider me blind, Yin Tao said quickly, not bothering to argue with her. When he saw Yin Tao coming up, Zhe turned around and talked enthusiastically with Stapler's dad, turning a deaf ear to Yin Tao's arrival and her conversation with Sisi. Yin Tao also pretended not to see him and sat down next to the little fairy. After a while, Yao Yao came up holding me's arm. Yao Yao sat next to Yin Tao. I walked over to Curly and Zhe and sat down. After he sat down, he specifically waved to Yin Tao. Xiang Nan, Ding Yusong, Zhang Chen, and Tan Shehen were having dinner at the Tuxianjiayuan Hotel in the Dynamic Zone. Yin Tao called her, stood up and walked away, walked to the sofa in the box and sat down. Press the answer button. Boss, I couldn't help it anymore. I ran to the bathroom to call you as soon as the call came through, Yin Tao shouted anxiously inside. What's wrong? Xiang Nan asked. I'm so angry that I'm going to explode with anger. If I sit there any longer, I'm going to go crazy. Xiang Nan smiled and asked, what made you so angry? You're still laughing, boss, do you know that me borrowed money from us and what did it do with it? Yin Tao asked. Didn't he say that he wanted to give it to the contractor below? Ghost. I knew he was a liar. He took the money and bought 2 of the newly released iPhone 6 Plus, one for him and Yao Yao. No, I don't know if he gave it to anyone else. Women bought it, at least 2. How do you know? Xiang Nan asked. I saw it, that Yao Yao, and she showed it off to us, Yin Tao said. Even if it is like this, it doesn't mean that he just took our money to buy a mobile phone. Humph, why not? Yin Tao scolded. With the money we lent him on Tuesday, they bought a mobile phone on Wednesday, which cost more than 7,000 yuan. Do you think it was not with our money or something? Xiang Nan breathed a sigh of relief and said, that's good. Why is this good, boss? Yin Tao asked, puzzled. This shows that my guess is correct. He is just more shameless than I thought. I am really afraid that I guessed wrong, Xiang Nan said. Yin Tao didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and said on the phone, okay, I'm convinced. Boss, I'm almost mad. You still take it lightly. Xiang Nan chuckled, isn't this what we have already expected? We have already expected this to happen. Why are you still angry? Calm down, calm down. Do you understand? The play is only halfway through and the time is not up. Why are you still waiting for him? As for repaying the money within a week, don't alert the enemy now, do you understand? Just pretend you don't know anything. Okay, Yin Tao said, I'll pretend to be stupid. Yes, just pretend to be stupid, Xiang Nan said and hung up the phone. When Xiang Nan walked back to his seat and sat down, Tan Shehen asked, what are you doing? I'm not doing anything, I'm just talking about steamed buns, Xiang Nan said. Baizai, what kind of buns? Tan Shehen asked curiously. Oh, steamed buns are steamed buns, Xiang Nan said with a smile. Thank you Quadratic VC, Mike, and the 2 fishes for the reward. Thank you Tian Wei, 0 surrender and lose half 0 very polite, my heart is sinking for you, longing for the plum blossoms, the flame of morality, Wahoo JL, book friend 130221184047110, no future, just remember the original intention, illusion in the wind, devil's romance, angle he badu, and how, book friends 2017051801320640, Linjaha, void broken dreams, book friends 201901180252243114, books are a pack of medicine, Guzayo Kyokyu's monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1855. Tonight's group gathering was in a tea house, so everyone did not move to other places. They stayed here all the time. Yin Tao found that the cat never came and no one talked about her. It seemed that on such an occasion, she absence is normal. At 11 o'clock in the evening, Yin Tao said, "My mouth is full of melon seeds. Let's go to Huanglong to eat seafood and drink draft beer." When Bai Fumei spoke, there was no reason why everyone should not respond. They all shouted hello and stood up. They went there in several cars. When they arrived, Kat had also arrived. Yin Tao smiled and said to her, "I was about to call you, but I didn't expect that someone had already informed you. It seems that you are here. The popularity in the group is really good." Kat's face turned slightly red. She pointed toward the seafood stall market and said, "I'm having a midnight snack over there. I heard you guys were coming here, so I came over to take a look." Sissy curled her lips and said nothing. Little Fairy and Yin Tao both asked Kat to sit down, and Kat sat down between the two of them. There were many people, but 2 tables were pushed together. Yin Tao asked the waiter to serve 3 shots of beer first, and several men started drinking immediately. Yin Tao stood up and went over to order. She specifically told Zhe that she didn't understand very well and asked Zhe to order with her. Yin Tao shouted, "Zhe would be bad if he shirks or doesn't stand up. He is still the leader of the group, so at this time, he should step forward." When the 2 of them arrived at the seafood pool, Yin Tao seemed to have forgotten that Zhe was beside it, and she started ordering by herself. First, there were 2 large lobsters weighing more than 2 kilograms, 1 boiled and 1 salt and pepper. Then she didn't order the cheap safflower crab or swimming crab, but ordered bread crab, and then ordered black tiger shrimp and grouper. Zhe was watching from the side, secretly surprised. "How much does this midnight snack cost? This Bai Fumei is rich and willful." After ordering the food, the 2 of them went back and sat down. Lao Mo looked at them and said, "Why does it take so long to order food? I thought you 2 eloped." Yin Tao said, "Almost." After saying that, she turned to Zhe and smiled charmingly. Zhe looked a little embarrassed and didn't say anything. "That's long-winded." Sissy rolled her eyes at Lao Tuo. Everyone ate and drank openly. During the middle of the meal, they used dice to guess the size and started drinking. As a result, they drank 14 shots of the Cannon's draft beer. The fun lasted until after 1 o'clock. We ate too much food, drank too much wine, and played so crazy. Everyone sat there with their eyes a little straight and tired. Yin Tao raised her hand. The waiter knew that he wanted to pay the bill, so he quickly came over with the bill and looked at Yin Tao. Yin Tao sat silently, and then looked at Zhe. They were the 2 who ordered the food, so they should be the ones paying the bill. And on this occasion, there would be no woman to pay the bill. The waiter handed the bill to Zhe and said to him, "The total is 4,827. I charge you 4,800 yuan. Zhe was stunned for a moment. He looked at Yin Tao, and Yin Tao shouted, "Yes, yes, you said it was right? Let me do the math." Yin Tao picked up her mobile phone, did some calculations, and said to everyone, 4,800 yuan. There are 15 of us in total. Each of us is 320 yuan. Zhe, do you want to give it all to you or to me? Everyone was stunned. A table of people who had been very noisy just now fell silent, and Zhe was even more confused. In the tea house ahead, Yin Tao stood up and said she was going to Huanglong. At that time, everyone thought it was Yin Tao's treat just like last week. But when they saw the food served today, it was so rich, everyone was still saying, "Peach, this rich woman is really reliable," and everyone is open to eating and drinking. No one thought that something like this would happen after eating. Thinking about it, she just said that she was going to Huanglong for a late-night snack, and she didn't say that she wanted to treat her. You also followed her and cheered. What did you cheer for? When you get here, it's normal to start, "Hey, this group is not with other people. The groups are different, is it always a?" Then I already invited you once last week, why should I invite you again? However, this is not 100, but 302. Everyone here is a little unwilling, but everyone looks at me and I look at you, and I don't know what to say. They all feel like dumb people eating coptis. The most embarrassing thing was Kat. At this time, it was too late for her to escape even if she wanted to. Yintao looked at Zhe with a smile and then at everyone else. She said, "Okay, I will buy it alone. You can all transfer A's money to me via WeChat." Yintao looked at Kat and originally wanted to say I'll invite Kat, but then she thought that since someone asked her to come to Kat, this person should invite her. Why don't you wait for Kat to shake him out? She also happened to see whose cat belonged to him tonight. "Okay, 302, right? I'll transfer it to you right away," Lao Mo said. He looked at Sisi and asked, "May I treat you? What do you want me to do for you?" "I'll pay for it myself," Sisi said. Yesterday Breeze immediately said delicately, half jokingly and half seriously, "Brother Lao Tuo, I want you to invite me." Lao Tuo nodded and said yes. Little Fatty immediately called, "Uncle Lao Tuo, and me." The old man scolded, "Get out of here, I value sex over friends, and I will kill anyone who has the power." Mao looked at Lao Mo and was about to speak when Yintao bumped Kat with her shoulder and whispered to her, "Someone just paid for your money." Although Yintao spoke very softly, everyone still heard her words. The men here looked at each other. The person who would pay for the cat must be a man, but they couldn't tell who it was from each other's faces. As soon as the cat appeared in front, director and volume Mao went to ask quietly if she had time in the evening, but Mao told them no, saying that she still had friends waiting for her over there. By this time, director and curly hair knew that what was waiting for Cat today was not there, but here. In Yintao's mobile phone, the first thing that came in was Sisi's 302, followed by Lao Tuo's 604. Yintao knew that there was 302 from yesterday Breeze, followed by Little Fairy, and then me 604. Yintao was cursing in her heart, "Damn, are you giving me my money back 604? Immediately afterwards, Zhe came in with a sum of 604, and added "and cats." Yintao almost laughed out loud. "It turned out to be you. Is your wife working the night shift again tonight?" Just after Yintao finished talking to Kat, Xiaopang said, "Sister Daisy, I will give it to you tomorrow, okay?" Yintao nodded and said, "Okay, there's no rush, you can just do it when it's convenient for you." Yintao called a driver and got into the car. She asked the driver to take the Little Fairy and yesterday Breeze in the back seat home first. The old lady called her phone. She guessed what the old lady wanted to say to her. The two people at the back were there and it was not convenient for her to answer the call, so she put down the phone. When the Little Fairy was also sent home and only she and the driver were left in the car, Yintao called Lao Tao. "Haha, everyone in the men's gang is denouncing you and saying that you came here intentionally to cause trouble," Lao Mo said on the phone. "I know, what kind words will they have?" Yintao said with a smile. Yes, Yintao, this tonight is a stroke of genius, I want to write it into the play. Okay, please remember to share the royalties with me. You are so generous that you even invited yesterday Breeze, Yintao said. Okay, I'll invite you when the time comes, Lao Mo laughed. The next day, Yintao, Xiangnan, Ding Yusong and others met in the tea house upstairs in the dynamic zone. Yintao told them what happened last night. Everyone laughed wildly after hearing this. Yintao said, "Finally, I got rid of my bad breath." Just as he was talking, the old man arrived, and when he started talking again, everyone laughed again. Lao Tuo and Xiangnan said, "I was shot innocently and went to 604, and the regiment reimbursed me." After Xiangnan agreed, Yintao shouted, "No, you are the same as me. You can only repay 302. There is another 302 that you used to flirt with girls. How dare you come to repay the cost of flirting with girls? The old lady chuckled, I'm trying to flirt with girls for work. You know that breeze, who talks to me privately every day and tells me so many things. Okay, let's forget it, Xiang Nan said. Lao Mo, have you almost collected the materials? That's almost it, Lao Mo said, and there's that, my money. You must tell me what will happen to me in the end. What's the result? There's no result. The buns were thrown out. Did you see any come back? Yin Tao asked. Yeah, Lao Mo nodded and said, I'm not sure. You are looking at Xian, right? Yin Tao said, if you are looking at Xian, I will let you see how the bun flies back. Do you have a way? Lao Mo asked, say it quickly, what method are you going to use? Xiang Nan also looked at Yin Tao curiously. Yin Tao smiled and said, the time has not come yet. When the time comes, you will naturally see it. In the blink of an eye, it was Friday again, and the little goblin called in the group, it's the weekend, is the group dead? Why is there no party? The group is not dead, but it has been injured. Everyone seems to be unmotivated and there is no group gathering anymore. Little fairy then at Je pretended not to see it. Yin Tao looked at it, but she was secretly surprised in her heart. She knew that if the group continued like this, it would not be long. Will the group disband her? I don't care, but I haven't paid back the money yet. The money was borrowed last Tuesday, and today is already Friday. More than a week has passed, and I haven't done anything at all. Yin Tao was at Little Fairy in the group and asked, except for credit cards, do you want to help with other debts? Little Goblin, what debt? Dizzy, someone owes me 40,000 yuan. He promised to pay it back within a week. It has been 3 days and it has not been paid yet. Little Goblin, tisk, it's only been 3 days. It's been a month. Come see me again. Tao Zi, no need, I have my own solution. I already know his home and work unit. Starting tomorrow, I will send 30 workers from the construction site to his home and 30 workers to his work unit every day. We will eat and live together, sleeping together. There are a lot of people on my construction site, even the police, it's hard to control them. The workers' wages have been loaned out, it's normal for them to ask for their wages back, isn't it? The little goblin chuckled, this is a good idea. Your worker, please lend it to me next time. Dizzy, okay, paid service. Leprechaun, of course. A WeChat message came in. Yin Tao opened it and looked at it. It was me. I said to her, I'm sorry, the money I owe you hasn't arrived yet. I'll give you the money I owe you in batches, okay? Immediately, he transferred a sum of 2,000 to Yin Tao, and Yin Tao accepted it without hesitation. Yin Tao told Xiang Nan and Ding Yusong about the matter, and cursed, it's still a loss. When these big meat buns go out, it looks like they will come back as small steamed buns. Xiang Nan smiled and shook her head. She looked at Ding Yusong and said, Yin Tao, if anyone marries you in the future, be careful. No one can bear it when you play tricks. Ding Yusong scratched his head, and Yin Tao shouted, I'll go. What happened again? Xiang Nan asked. Why did this old moron quit the group, and Sisi also quit the group together? What happened? Yin Tao said. Xiang Nan thought for a while and understood. She picked up the phone and called Lao Mo and asked, is Sisi with you? The old man chuckled. In love? Xiang Nan asked. Lao Tuo lowered his voice and said, try it, just try it. I wonder if someone who comes out of that environment can be regarded as filthy and untainted. Xiang Nan smiled and said, okay, Lao Mao, I don't care who you fall in love with, but the manuscript cannot be delayed. No, I can drag anyone's manuscript, even the one from Captain Feng, I can't, Lao Mo said quickly. Thank you musicking, Captain Jim, Qian Dad, Lao Chen Tang, the fish-eating brother, and book friend 2018052311285760 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1856. Lu Yun was still in the United States, and Xiaofang returned to China first. Zhang Chen picked her up at Shanghai Pudong Airport. After picking her up, they did not go to Century Fairview or Xiaofang's company in Jinmao Tower, but directly go back to Hangzhou. "How is Zixi?" Xiaofang asked as the first thing she saw when she saw Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen agreed, and the two old ladies would take them with them. It would be hard to think otherwise. If Liu Customs, had not had something to do, they would have come yesterday. If they had come today, they would definitely have brought Zixi with me. Xiaofang sighed, "I really thought that when I saw Zixi as soon as I got off the plane, I missed her." "Then just think about it for another 3 hours and you can see it." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Let's go." After getting into the car, Zhang Chen asked Xiaofang, "Did you see Zhang Xiangbei this time?" "Of course, the day after we arrived, he came to New York to meet us. Lu Yun and I also went to New Haven. I also had coffee with Bai Bei's teachers. He had no problem graduating on time." Xiaofang said, "Bai Bei himself is also anxious to come back." "What is he anxious about?" Zhang Chen asked. Xiaofang looked at Zhang Chen and asked with a smile, "Are you really not aware, or are you pretending not to know?" "What do you know?" Zhang Chen asked, a little confused. "It's a matter of north-north and south-south. Zhang Xiangbei and Xiangnan, what happened to them?" "Idiot, they are in love," Xiaofang said. "Haha, is it true?" "When did it happen?" Zhang Chen asked. "It started last year. However, Nanan and Bai Bei said that they would wait until Bai Bei graduated before telling their families about it. This time, Lu Yun and I went to New Haven. Bai Bei was so happy that he couldn't hold it back. You just told us, by the way, you don't know about this. I promise Bai Bei, I won't tell you about this. Isn't this a good thing? There is nothing to hide. If I tell the two old ladies when I go back, they will probably be very happy. And Tan Shahen, she won't object. By the way, I remembered it. During the summer vacation when Bai Bei went to Yongcheng, Teacher Tan and the two of them even went on a trip on purpose." Zhang Chen said cheerfully, "This can be considered a matter of course. Children, you still have to respect them. They have their own plans. Even if we know about this, we will just have fun on the side. Do you understand?" Xiaofang said. Zhang Chen smiled and nodded. He said, "If this is the case, I really don't dare to tell the two old ladies. If I tell them, if they can hold it in any longer, they may soon bring Xiangnan under their protection, and even Yongchen will run to deliver delicious food." Xiaofang laughed and said, "I'll see, so I'd better let them talk to their grandma about it when the time comes." Zhang Chen nodded. After Zhang Chen carried out the joint stock reform of Banmuishan Group, Xiaofang also operated on her youth capital. Lu Qing is now the managing director of Youth Capital. She can handle everything in the company. Xiaofang, the chairman, is currently focusing mainly on the Nasdaq listing of Fanhua Network and the aftermath of Shuanghui International Holdings. After several years of hard work, the work of Shuanghui International Holdings to acquire the Spanish Farmers Group was still stuck in Brussels. The more Xiaofang interacted with the gentlemen in the EU, the more she felt that the EU neither looked like a sovereign government nor wanted anything. The organization under management can be said to be the most inefficient and perfunctory freak in the world. They don't have much actual power, but they have to control almost everything. When the largest meat products company in Europe, like the Spanish Farmers Group, was acquired by a Chinese company, the gentlemen in the European Union became excited in an instant. "Everyone come and have a say. It sounds nice, but deep down, it still discriminates against Chinese companies. The most terrible thing is that the EU adopts a collaborative approach, which means that as long as one member state objects to any issue, the issue will be shelved and there will be no way to pass it. You must know that the EU is an organization with 28 member states. There are 24 official languages. Translating one document into 24 languages can make you half exhausted. When voting, those small countries in Eastern Europe and the Baltic Sea like to play the role of those who succeed but fail. Can such an organization do anything serious? Shuanghui International Holdings really couldn't afford the expense, so it decided to give up the acquisition of the Spanish Farmers Group, and even prepared to sell the equity it originally owned. This is a very complicated and tiring job. The quality of an army does not depend on how sharp you are when you attack, but how strong your resilience and organization are when you retreat. Attacking is always easy, as long as you fire at the target and advance, but when retreating, if there is no proper arrangement and organization, it can easily become a situation of overwhelming defeat. The damage will be infinitely expanded, and it will be out of control. Most armies perish when they retreat, not when they attack. The same is true for cross-border mergers and reorganizations of enterprises. After the reorganization fails, cleaning up the mess, minimizing one's own losses, and even changing from passive to active, turning disadvantages into advantages, and obtaining certain benefits is a meticulous job. Xiaofang can't help it. You can't do it yourself. And people are often like this. The busier and tired they are outside, the more they miss home and their relatives. Xiaofang missed Zhang Xiangzi terribly on the plane. After getting off the plane, she hurriedly asked Zhang Xiangbei run to Hangzhou. They returned to Hangzhou, to the splendid home, and when they hugged Zhang Xiangzi, Xiaofang's heart seemed to have just fallen to the ground, and she suddenly felt very tired. The string that had been tied finally it's time to let go. Xiaofang hugged Zhang Xiangzi and said to her, "Call mom." Zhang Xiangzi chuckled and waved his arms, "Cheaper, cheaper." "It's not cheap," Xiaofang grimaced, pretending to be sullen. Zhang Xiangzi still chuckled, "Cheaper, cheaper." Xiaofang couldn't hold back anymore, laughed, and kept kissing Zhang Xiangzi's face. During lunch, Zhang Chen's mother saw that Xiaofang's face was not very good and asked her what was wrong. Xiaofang said it was fine, but she was a little tired and the jet lag hadn't come over yet. "Then you eat quickly and rest in Beibei's room after eating," Zhang Chen's mother said. Xiaofang said yes, I was too lazy to climb the stairs over there. Xiaofang's mother heard this and immediately went to tidy Xiaofang's room. After dinner, Xiaofang went to the room to sleep, and Zhang Chen went to the company. Xiaofang was lying sideways on the bed. She vaguely felt like there was a bug crawling behind her neck. Xiaofang turned around and saw that Zhang Xiangzi came in at some unknown time and crawled onto the bed, lying next to her and using his hands, touching her hair. Xiaofang smiled, turned around, and looked at Zhang Xiangzi with sleepy eyes. Zhang Xiangzi stretched out his little hand, touched her face, and said to her, "Mom, be good and go to sleep." Xiaofang nodded, hugged Zhang Xiangzi in her arms, and closed her eyes. Zhang Chen's mother and Xiaofang's mother turned around and found that Zhang Xiangzi was missing. They quickly walked to the door of Zhang Xiangbei's room and opened the door. They saw Xiaofang had fallen asleep holding Zhang Xiangzi. Zhang Xiangzi's eyes were wide open and when he saw them, he waved his little hand towards them to signal not to make any noise. The two old ladies smiled and closed the door gently. Zhang Chen drove to the company and parked the car in the underground parking lot as a habit. He went to the Tuxianjiayuan Hotel first. The lunch in the hotel was almost over. In addition to the private rooms, there were several tables of guests, and the entire lobby outside was empty, and the waiters are cleaning. He walked to the cashier and was talking to the restaurant manager. Someone called him. Zhang Chen turned around and saw that it was Wang Minsheng. Wang Minsheng told him that someone was celebrating a child's birthday here in the evening, and 25 tables were set up. Is a child's birthday worth such an exaggeration? Zhang Chen asked. Wang Minsheng smiled and said, isn't it? Nowadays, when children celebrate their birthdays, relatives and friends are also competing with each other. Your child has 10 tables, my child has 12 tables, and his child has 15 tables. The comparison is like this. What's exaggerated is that even the same goes for cakes. Do you know how much a cake today costs? 800, Zhang Chen asked. Wang Minsheng shook his head, 6,008. Zhang Chen was startled and shouted, why does the cake have to be so expensive? Wang Minsheng told him that today's cake has a diameter of 1 meter and 2 meters at the bottom and 15 layers on top. Because it is the child's 15th birthday, the shape of the cake is pagoda-shaped, which means rising through the ranks. The pastry chef here did not make it. I didn't feel confident about having such a big cake, so I called him, the master, and he came over. The restaurant manager next to him said, not only the cakes, but also the standard of the banquet is very high. 5,081 tables, plus cakes and drinks, the total should be more than 200,000. I am planning to separate a special area in the lobby. Zhang Chen shook his head and said, it's too extravagant. It costs so much money for a birthday. Fortunately, Zhang Xiangbei has grown up and doesn't need to spend this money. What about Zixi? Wang Minsheng said. Don't engage in these things. On this point, Xiao Fang and I are in agreement, that is, children should not be allowed to have excessive luxury, otherwise it will harm them and weaken their ability to survive. Zhang Chen said, a child can still stay with his parents for the rest of his life. When he goes out, will others pamper him and let him go like his parents? Wang Minsheng nodded, and the restaurant manager said, Zixi doesn't need it, she will ask for cheaper. Zhang Chen and Wang Minsheng both laughed. The manager said to Zhang Chen, by the way, Mr. Zhang, this child's parents know you. Know me? Zhang Chen was surprised and asked, who is it? The child's surname is Wu. His father's surname should also be Wu. When he came to place an order yesterday, he asked about you. Weren't you in the office yesterday afternoon? The restaurant manager said. Zhang Chen nodded and said, since we are acquaintances, have you given him a discount? I want to call him, but he doesn't need it. I say it's unlucky. What else can I say? How can I get a discount on something for my son? It must be calculated at the original price, the restaurant manager said. Is there such a strange person? Zhang Chen asked, confused. You should ask, why are there such good customers? Wang Minsheng said, and Zhang Chen and the restaurant manager both laughed. Zhang Chen said goodbye to Wang Minsheng and the restaurant manager and went back to the office upstairs. He was thinking all the way that the one who could create such a big scene must be the boss, not government officials. They are not so arrogant. The surname was Wu, and he acted in such a high-profile manner, like an acquaintance of the nouveau riche. Zhang Chen thought about it for a long time, but he couldn't figure out who it was. Don't think about it anymore, whatever. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you to the passerby Ye Buzan, Tian Wei, forget your password and come again. Book friend 201708140015587850 Qing, really annoying, Zipanjiang 1, Li Rujin, Fan Pei's Journey to the West, Galan Tui, ZL59, Fuying Guang for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1857. Zhang Chen returned to his office. Hagen was waiting for him here. Hagen and Zhang Chen said that the warehouse in the e-commerce industrial park is not enough now. Not only the express company also needs it, but now the e-commerce company upstairs has developed its business. Later, many also needed warehouses. The two people walked to the conference table. Hagen spread out the floor plan of the e-commerce industrial park in his hand and said to Zhang Chen, "Either we build a row of warehouses here, near the outer wall. In this case, this green belt will be gone, right?" Zhang Chen asked. Hagen is right. Zhang Chen stared at the drawings for a while, and then he and Hagen said, "The warehouse must be built, and the demand for it will be more and more. I think it is either to build it here and remove the iron fence." Zhang Chen was pointing to the isolation belt between their factory and the industrial park. There are two roads on both sides of the iron fence. The passage near the industrial park is very wide, mainly to facilitate the entry and exit of container trucks from their factory. Zhang Chen and Hagen said, "We moved the factory gate to the front, parallel to the gate of the industrial park. There is only a small door left here to facilitate workers to come and go when eating. There are no container trucks here. There is no need for such a wide road. Allow 4.5 meters on the iron fence side and set back 2.5 meters on the factory side, so that the location of the warehouse is available." The gate of the factory originally opened into the industrial park, mainly to cover people's eyes and ears, making everyone feel that the factory and the industrial park are one, and the factory is an ancillary facility. But now that the factory and the industrial park have been open for so long, everyone has accepted, and once you are used to the factory being here, there is no need to cover up anymore. Hagen said, "Okay, then I will let someone design it like this. You can also consider building a two-story building. The rent on the second floor can be cheaper. In this way, companies that sell very light goods will consider renting on the second floor, as long as there is an elevator to go up and downstairs," Zhang Chen said. Hagen nodded and said yes, so the area can be increased a lot. Hagen had just gone out and someone came in. Zhang Chen looked up and shouted, "Oh, rare visitor, Mr. Huang, I haven't seen him for many years." The visitor also shouted, "Yes, Mr. Zhang, I see your building being built every day, and I have always wanted to come and visit, but I am always embarrassed." The person who came was none other than the baby-faced Mr. Huang from the splendid Jiangnan building opposite. From that year, Zhang Chen stopped the car at the door of the old M zone and told Zhang Chen that someone had seen Lu. After Li Peng was in Jinhua and asked him to remind Li Peng to be careful, so many years passed. Although the two of them were in Hangzhou and facing each other in the company, they never met again. "See what Mr. Huang said, if you're sorry, just come if you want," Zhang Chen said with a smile. "Oh, Mr. Zhang, I know it. It turns out that although we have dealt with each other before, from the bottom of your heart, you look down on us loan lenders. When you deal with us, it is also for Mr. Liu's business. There is nothing you can do about it, right?" Mr. Huang said laughingly. The other party spoke so frankly that Zhang Chen couldn't say anything more and could only smile. Yes, why would he deal with a loan shark when he had nothing to do? "By the way, Mr. Zhang, has Mr. Lu come back?" Mr. Huang asked. Zhang Chen shook his head. "Why haven't you come back yet? It's been such a long time." "It shouldn't be. I heard from Shaoxing people that the man named Meng passed away and his wife took on the Shaoxing people's debts, including Lao Ni's." "Yes. No. Zhang Chen is right. Then nothing will happen. Why hasn't Mr. Lu come back?" Zhang Chen sighed and said, "Maybe he doesn't know yet." "Hey, this happened." Mr. Huang also sighed. "By the way, Mr. Zhang, although we have never met, I go to your Riverside oil painting gallery often. Almost every time there is a new exhibition. I will go and have a look whenever I go out. Also, I have been to your Tuxianjiayuan hotel several times. It's not bad. Tonight, my son's birthday party will be held at your place." "Birthday party?" Zhang Chen was surprised and asked, "The one at table 25 is yours?" "Yes," Mr. Huang nodded. "But, I heard that the kid's surname is not Wu." "Is he really your son?" Zhang Chen asked. Mr. Huang laughed and said, "Of course, the other things can be wrong." "How could the son be wrong?" "Of course he was my son, I gave birth to him myself." As Mr. Huang said, he patted his chest. Zhang Chen also smiled and said, "That's because we made a mistake here." Yes, my son's surname is indeed Wu, which is the same as his mother's surname." Mr. Huang changed the subject and asked, "Ms. Zhang, doesn't it feel a little strange?" Zhang Chen nodded, "A little bit." "Actually, it's not surprising," Mr. Huang said. "Think about it, in our previous line of work, others seemed very arrogant, walking in and out, with a lot of subordinates, but they were also panicking in their hearts. Why, you put when others are forcing you to have no way out, you should also prevent others from biting you, right? I'm not afraid of Mr. Zhang's jokes. When my wife and I got married, we went to her hometown in Jinhua to register. My marital status couldn't be found in Hangzhou. When my son was born, he also had his mother's surname and lived with his mother. We usually don't live together. We force others to have a hard time returning home. As a result, we ourselves also have a hard time returning home. We have offended too many people and have no choice. Every time I visit their mother and son, I act like a thief. While driving, I have to pay attention to see if anyone is following me. It's like I owe a loan shark. I can't help it. Son, I can't afford to make mistakes. Do you think it's Mr. Zhang?" Zhang Chen nodded, feeling that what he said was sincere. In their line of work, a lot of people are offended. When you press for debts, you drive people to a dead end, and you don't give them any dignity at all. At the end of the day, when the debt is paid off, you think it is settled, but in fact it is not. The hatred has not been repaid, and the anger has not been released. When someone turns over and their life gets better, they might come back to mess with you. This Mr. Huang is a bit better. He is polite to all debtors and just uses his brain to think about how to get out of the trap, like Mr. Fang with the mahjong face. With his eating looks, he might die suddenly on the street without even knowing how. Zhang Chen didn't know if Mr. Huang had realized this a long time ago and would take a different path from Mr. Fang, even though he was still asking for debts. "Mr. Zhang, you are probably wondering, if this is the case, why am I so aggressive in celebrating my son's birthday, right? To be honest with you, Mr. Zhang, this is the first time I have publicly celebrated my son's birthday, and I feel happy, so I've invited everyone I can. I'm so happy. Mr. Zhang, can you come over for a drink tonight?" Mr. Huang looked at Zhang Chen and said. Zhang Chen agreed immediately and said yes. Zhang Chen was thinking in his heart, even if he was his client and such a big scene was set up here, it was appropriate for him to go over and toast him with a glass of wine. Besides, no matter what he did, he had nothing to do with him, so what was he afraid of? Haha, thank you very much. Mr. Zhang, please agree first. No gift money, no gifts, no need to give anything. You, Mr. Zhang, are a celebrity. You are here just to give me face, Mr. Huang said. Also, don't worry, Mr. Zhang, what I'm doing now is serious business, the internet, otherwise, I wouldn't dare celebrate my son's birthday in such a high-profile way. This was a big surprise to Zhang Chen. He asked, "Are you no longer in the original company?" "Yes, the company is still there, but we transformed last year and no longer do the original business," Mr. Huang said. "Then what are you doing now?" Zhang Chen asked curiously. "P2P, Internet Finance, by the way, can I use your computer, Mr. Zhang?" Mr. Huang asked. Zhang Chen said yes. Mr. Huang walked over, opened a website, and said to Zhang Chen, "Mr. Zhang, Take a look, this is our website. Zhang Chen walked over and saw that a website called 88 Finance was open on his computer. At the top of the page, there was a very eye-catching sentence, "Technology makes finance better." Then there is a line below, "Sincerely serving small and micro enterprises and individual entrepreneurs." Looking at the contents of the website, there are companies and personal accounts that borrow money, companies and individuals put money on their platform and lend it to others, and there are various financial and insurance products for sale. It looks a lot like if you look at a formal website and look at their businesses, they are no different from those of a bank. Can you do this? Isn't it similar to a bank? Zhang Chen asked, do you need a financial license? Haha, no, you need a business license and a website that needs to be filed. Nothing else is needed, Mr. Huang said. Mr. Zhang, you are right. The business is really similar to that of a bank. We also wanted to open a bank before. But how is it possible? Only go to loan sharking if you have no other choice. You have to open a bank yourself. If you are caught, you can be shot. However, things that I didn't even dare to think about before are now legal as long as the internet is the sheep's head, called internet finance, P2P business. This is called internet innovation, and there are such good things. We won't do it if you do, wouldn't that be stupid? Zhang Chen thought to himself, isn't this the same as his e-commerce industrial park? A piece of land was obviously enclosed and houses were built in it. But if it were an industrial park, it would be demolished, but as long as it has an e-commerce, it would be fine. Is it effective? Zhang Chen asked. Don't be too nice. I'm telling you, I'm not bragging. Generally speaking, a branch of a bank can't compare with us. Our daily inflow and outflow is billions. I have lent more than 40 billion in total. Yes, I used to be a loan shark, and we would be very happy if we could get a fraction of the loan, Mr. Huang said, his face glowing red. Mr. Huang looked at Zhang Chen and said sincerely, Mr. Zhang, I knew you looked down upon us for lending money in the past, and I was embarrassed to come to you to talk business. But now, I dare to come and talk to you. Really, you can put money on our platform, and the companies that lend money here have made a lot of money. Mr. Huang then reported a list of famous companies in Hangzhou. He said to Zhang Chen, these companies are all lending money to us now. Mr. Zhang, can you rest assured? Zhang Chen smiled and said, he said yes, I understand. That's right, you will know if you know more about it. Mr. Huang stood up and said to Zhang Chen, then I'll take my leave first. Mr. Zhang, we agreed that you must come over for a drink in the evening. Zhang Chen said yes, definitely. Thank you for your monthly ticket for Kanchan Shui, Romantic Cherry Blossoms, Love Purple, Tao Shen 123, It's Not an Impossible World, and very guest. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1858. Mr. Huang said goodbye and left. Zhang Chen walked to his desk and sat down. He picked up the phone on the desk and called home. His mother answered the phone. When he heard Zhang Chen's voice, he couldn't help but laugh. Zhang Chen was surprised and asked his mother why she was laughing. Is Xiao Fang up? Why are you up? Let her sleep well. Your precious daughter is sleeping with her mother. As soon as we entered, she told us not to make any noise, Zhang Chen's mother told him, and Zhang Chen also laughed. Zhang Chen told his mother, when Xiao Fang gets up later, tell her that I won't be going back for dinner tonight. A friend's son has a birthday here in the hotel today, and I want to go and sit there. I know, if you don't come back, we will eat later and let Xiao Fang sleep a little longer, Zhang Chen's mother said. Anyway, those two old men don't know how to go home until it's dark. Zhang Chen said yes. Zhang Chen stayed in the office until 6 o'clock. He stood up and walked out. He took the elevator to the Tuxianjiayuan Hotel below, where diners were arriving one after another. Zhang Chen walked into the restaurant and saw that in one corner of the hall, the waiters used 2 rows of potted plants as tall as one person to separate a relatively independent area. Banners and balloons were hung inside, adding to the atmosphere. The birthday party started at 6:30. It was still early and the guests hadn't arrived yet. 2 waiters were setting up the table, but the huge 15-layer cake had already been prepared and placed on a special table. The circle is covered with glittering colored paper so that the appearance of the cake cannot be seen. When the time comes, the host who is waiting for the birthday will open it himself and blind everyone's eyes. Zhang Chen walked to the back kitchen. He saw today's 25 tables. The executive chef personally arranged them, which showed that they attached great importance to them. Zhang Chen walked in the back kitchen, looking around and stopping from time to time. Have a conversation with someone. The entire back kitchen has begun to be busy. The suction fans above the row of stoves are whining, and the blowers below the stoves are also whining. The sound of the fan is mixed with the clang sound of the horse spoon hitting the pot. Almost all wok cooks have this habit. After frying a dish, they always use the horse spoon to clean the pot after frying a dish. Spoon, clang clang, tap on the pot twice. When dozens of wok heads are doing this, the sound of clang clang is heard one after another in the back kitchen. The denser the sound, the faster the food is served, and the better the business in the restaurant in front, and the meal is reaching its climax amidst this clang sound. Zhang Chen liked hearing this clang sound very much, which would take him back to the distant past. He was lying on the bed upstairs in Yilin's house, listening to the clang sound coming from the distance, and imagining, at this time, a plate of garlic water, spinach or ginger, green onion, and saffron crab has just come out of the pot. Soon, the ghosts singing will sound. Their kitchen was too big. Zhang Chen walked around in a circle, and more than half an hour had passed before he knew it. By the time he came out of the kitchen and returned to the restaurant, Mr. Huang and the others had already arrived, and the entire hotel lobby, it was basically full at this time. There were no seats for people to sit at, and there were order cards placed on the tables. The guests at these tables were now stuck in the road. Zhang Chen walked around the row of plants. Mr. Huang saw him, waved, walked over, shook hands first, and then took him to the innermost table next to the table where the cakes were placed. Zhang Chen saw that Mr. Qin was already sitting here. Seeing him, Mr. Qin quickly stood up. Mr. Huang handed Zhang Chen to Mr. Qin, and he went to entertain other guests. Today he and his son are the protagonists here. Mr. Qin asked Zhang Chen to sit next to him. Except for the empty seat on Zhang Chen's left hand, all other seats at this table were already full. Mr. Qin first introduced Zhang Chen to everyone, and then called the men and women present one by one. Introduced to him, everyone exchanged business cards. The guests at this table were all from several well-known companies in Hangzhou. Those present were either the company's financial director or the proprietress. Zhang Chen understood that these should be customers of Mr. Qin and his 88 Finance. After more than 10 minutes, all the guests arrived and the birthday party officially began. Mr. Wang's son, a chubby little guy, with the help of the waiter, began to remove the shiny paper on the outside of the cake. All the guests present heard that today's birthday cake was 1 meter and 2 meters tall and 15 stories high. It should be the largest cake in Hangzhou. Everyone stood up to look at the strange thing. Guests who were far away even left their seats. Come around and watch. When the little fat man took apart the colored paper, everyone exclaimed because of the giant cake, and then clapped. Next to the cake, there was a 3-step wooden stand. The waiter had to walk up to the stand to light the candle inserted in the top layer of cake. The waiter then got out of the way. The fat boy's face was already flushed and he was shaking slightly with excitement. The waiter gently pushed his back with his hand and pushed him to the table. Everyone said, "I wish you a happy birthday." During the song Happiness, the little fat man puffed up his cheeks and blew out a puff of air. Most of the candles were blown out, but 2 were still burning with flames. The fat boy poofed again, and the 2 candles were extinguished, leaving smoke, and everyone applauded. The waiter began to share the cakes. Everyone returned to their seats and sat down. The fat boy walked to a nearby table and sat down next to a woman. A layer of sweat appeared on the fat boy's forehead. The woman wiped it with a napkin. That table was the main table, and there were 4 old people sitting there. It should be the table for Mr. Huang and his family. Mr. Huang did not go to sit at that table, but came over and sat down in the empty seat next to Zhang Chen. Obviously, this table is their most important customer, and Mr. Qin and Mr. Huang naturally include Zhang Chen with them and need to accompany them personally. Of the 3 of them, only the mahjong-faced Mr. Fang was not here. Zhang Chen looked around and saw him at a table far away. Zhang Chen understood that Mr. Huang and the others were now, in Mr. Huang's own words, it's a formal business. When doing formal business, Mr. Fang's appearance is not too ostentatious, so naturally it is impossible to sit at a table with their important customers. Soon, people at this table were chatting enthusiastically about business matters. Everyone's face was filled with uncontrollable excitement. With this kind of excitement, Zhang Chen felt that Alibaba said "Open sesame." This should be the expression when you open the door of the cave and discover that there is a mountain of gold and silver inside. Zhang Chen had only a partial understanding of what they were talking about. Mr. Huang patiently explained to him how they operated. The more Zhang Chen listened, the simpler it felt. After feeling the simpler, Zhang Chen became confused. What if? It's so simple to make money so quickly, and it's so easy to make money. The routine is still that of banks, that is, while absorbing deposits and lending money at the same time. The only difference from banks is that one operates at the counter and the other operates online. Although the methods and paths are different, the money is still money. As long as it's money, if you don't control the risks when you go out, how will you get it back? Their model seemed to be open-ended, with loose lending conditions and weak guarantees for repayment. It was impossible to form a closed loop. Zhang Chen was puzzled. If a closed loop could not be formed, the money would not be returned. Zhang Chen felt that this was not lending, but charity. Come on, all the poor people in society, you are blessed because of this. How is it? Mr. Huang asked Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen smiled and nodded without saying a word. He didn't know what he could say. He knew that as soon as he opened his mouth, he would definitely disappoint everyone. Zhang Chen's cell phone rang. He looked at it and saw that it was Wu Ziyawai. Zhang Chen picked it up. Wu Ziyawai asked him where he was, and Zhang Chen said it was in the hotel below. I'll be here soon. I have news about Mr. Lu, Wu Ziyawai and Zhang Chen said. Zhang Chen was shocked. He said, okay, Wu Ziyawai, you go directly to my office and I will be up right away. Zhang Chen leaned into Mr. Huang's ear and said to him, sorry, Mr. Huang, I have to go back to the office. A friend is coming over and he has news about Mr. Lu. Mr. Huang nodded and said yes, we will contact you again. Zhang Chen patted his shoulder, turned around and told Mr. Qin that I had something to do and had to leave first. Mr. Qin said yes. Zhang Chen raised the wine glass in front of him and said to everyone, I'd like to toast everyone. Everyone raised their glasses and drank. Zhang Chen bowed his hands to them and said, you continue to chat, I'll excuse you. Zhang Chen returned to his office and waited for more than 10 minutes before Wu Ziyawai arrived. As soon as he came in, he said to Zhang Chen, Mr. Zhang, we all found the wrong person. Mr. Lu is not in Chenzhou at all. How do you know? Zhang Chen asked. After we left Chenzhou, didn't they continue to search? Every courier carried Mr. Liu's photo. When sending and receiving express delivery, he took it out and asked. As a result, I met a woman today. She said that I met Mr. Lu, that is, when we asked last time, Mr. Lu was actually with this woman when he was buying a mobile phone card in Chenzhou. They stayed in a hotel for more than a week. Later, they separated because Mr. Lu was leaving. Originally, the woman was planning to rent a house. Wu Ziyawai and Zhang Chen said. Zhang Chen asked, "Do you know where to go?" "I don't know, but she must have left Chenzhou." This woman said that if Mr. Lu was still in Chenzhou, he would be with her. "He must have left," Wu Ziyawai said, "and since then, she has never seen Mr. Lu again, and she said with confidence that Mr. Lu will definitely look for her if he goes to Chenzhou again." "What does this woman do?" Zhang Chen asked. "In a KTV, I used to be a young lady, but now I am a mommy there," Wu Ziyawai said. Like what he would do, this bastard really disappeared completely this time, Zhang Chen cursed. "I have expanded the scope. I have asked them to search in Hunan, Guangdong, and Jiangxi. These are the places where he is most likely to be," Wu Ziyawai said, and Zhang Chen nodded. "Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes at one time and 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you Huaxin Yongxiao, Chenfei, Shi Yitan, Zongkai 727, Fu Yingguang, 0 clear, 0 surrender and lose half 0 Big Brother, Book Friend 2019018025224314, Dragon, Lao Chen Tang, Silent Heart, Quiet monthly votes for Wubai 2012, Wahaji, Baikan Scholar, Tianying 1978, Zizhew, Kissing Pig, Book Friends 2019111520421545. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1859. Zhang Chen stood up and said to Wu Ziyawai, "I just drank, please take me home." Wu Ziyawai said yes. The two went downstairs. Wu Ziyawai sent Zhang Chen back to Splendid Home. The car was parked in the parking lot. Wu Ziyawai pressed down the window. The two sat in the car, smoked another cigarette, and chatted for a while. Chen got out of the car and walked towards his parents' house. Zhang Chen pushed the door open and saw Xiao Fang sitting on the sofa holding Zhang Xiangzi. Zhang Chen walked over to kiss Zhang Xiangzi. Zhang Xiangzi shouted stinky daddy," and ducked his head away. Xiao Fang twitched nose, smiled and said, "Yes, stinky daddy. It smells like alcohol and cigarettes. We don't want to kiss daddy." Zhang Chen chuckled. "Whose son is celebrating his birthday?" Xiao Fang asked. "You don't know, but the company opposite Splendid Jiangnan is the company that Gangxi and Lao Meng originally owed money to," Zhang Chen said. "When dealing with the matter between Gangxi and Splendid China, he helped get rid of those Shaoxing people." "A loan shark?" Xiao Fang asked. "People now stop lending money and do internet finance," Zhang Chen said. "Change the soup without changing the medicine, it's still the same. These companies will eventually become gangsters and rely on gangster methods to collect debts," Xiao Fang said, becoming alert. "By the way, why are you with them and not participating? It's their business, right?" "No, how is it possible? When I heard what they said, I felt unreliable," Zhang Chen said. "Today he was serving drinks in our hotel and came to the office to call me. Sorry, I'm going to socialize." Xiao Fang breathed a sigh of relief and said, "It's okay if you don't touch it. I tell you, don't touch it. This pit is very deep and you will die." Zhang Chen was surprised and asked, "Why?" "I think it's a bit unreliable, but it's not as serious as you think. I heard that it doesn't matter now, it's not illegal." "Yes, there is no violation of the law, but the whole thing has been led into a trap. It is not a legal risk, but the matter itself has risks. Internet finance, which sounds beautiful, is actually an imported pie. And he is seriously acclimatized." Xiao Fang looked at Zhang Chen and asked, "You really want to know?" Zhang Chen nodded. Xiao Fang agreed, when we get home, I will talk to you in detail and make it clear to you. If someone comes to flirt with you again, you will know what to do. The two returned home, took a shower, and sat down on the sofa in the living room. Zhang Chen turned on the computer, found the 88 Finance website, and said to Xiao Fang, "This is it." Xiao Fang glanced at it and said, "Don't look. I'm too familiar with it. There are former colleagues who are doing this. Every day, we receive many such platforms, asking for financing, but I reject them all. However, when I read newspapers, not all of them talk about supporting the development of internet finance and encouraging internet innovation," Zhang Chen said. "Do you know why some people are pushing these things?" Xiao Fang said, "There are huge interests. They are all people who know a little bit about finance. They are kidnapped by a group of vested interests. Cataracts follow the blind people. The so-called P2P finance, online, is what companies like Zhenhuiyang are doing, as well as these platform companies. Offline, that is, small loan companies and village banks, these half-baked financial institutions, within 10 years, I am sure that most of them will die. This is no secret. In fact, everyone in the industry knows it. Let me give you the simplest example. For example, if the CEOs of these small loan companies and the presidents of rural banks go to the top 5 state-owned banks and joint stock banks to apply for credit cards with leeway, a department manager below you, what do you think? Which of them is more convenient to handle and has a higher limit? Needless to say, it must be them, Zhang Chen said. They are financial institutions themselves, so what problems can they have? You're wrong, it's just that it will be difficult for them to apply for it, and the credit limit will be very low. Xiao Fang smiled. Leeway is much easier to apply for a credit card than the CEOs of these small loan companies and the presidents of rural banks. The same goes for personal consumer loans, housing loans, etc. Why? Zhang Chen asked. Because everyone tacitly understands that every bank has classified them as a high-risk group and is not optimistic about their workplaces, Xiao Fang said, and just because they are also engaged in financial work, their ability to evade debts is very important and means, will be higher than others. Zhang Chen became more and more confused as he listened. Xiao Fang said to him, "For example, if you still owe a bank 100,000 yuan, it won't be a big deal if you owe a loan. The bank can at most go to court to sue you civilly, but if you owe 100,000 yuan on a credit card, it is a criminal case. Credit card fraud is under the jurisdiction of the police, and 100,000 yuan is an amount. It's huge, enough to put you in jail for several years. But is there a way to resolve this risk? Of course there is, and the way is very simple. First, don't not answer the phone call from the credit card center, and don't change your phone. Second, you should regularly pay back 100 and 200, so, it fails to meet the standards for filing a case. Think about it, if it was Li Wei, how would she know this? But those people know who is more risky to the bank. Furthermore, judging from the industry and company you are engaged in, you are an entity enterprise. The collapse of an entity enterprise is, firstly, symptomatic, secondly, it is relatively difficult, and thirdly, it means bankruptcy. When the government intervenes, employees' wages will also be resolved as a first priority. On the contrary, as long as the capital chain of half-baked financial institutions is broken, they will collapse overnight, and there is almost no possibility of being saved. Once they collapse, they will be a huge hole that no one can fill. So that's it. Zhang Chen sighed and said. Xiao Fang smiled and said, the same goes for us. Lu Yun and I, if compared with you, in the eyes of the bank, you must be a high-quality customer, and we are customers whose risks need to be carefully evaluated. Okay, let's go back and let's talk about P2P finance. The key to P2P finance is 2 points, one is peer-to-peer, and the other is small loans. Companies like Zhenhuiyang and others, as well as the small loan companies and rural banks I mentioned, including these online loan platforms, are doing all this. This concept comes from the Bangladeshi economist and banker Yunus and the Grameen Bank he founded. Those who are engaged in P2P finance in China especially like to talk about Yunus, saying that his Grameen Bank has helped more than 6.3 million people, especially farmers and women, and helped them get rid of poverty, so it has won the Nobel Prize. But don't tell everyone that he won the Nobel Peace Prize, not the Economics Prize. I will not tell you that there are many financial institutions around the world that imitate Grameen Bank, but few are equally successful. Why? Because Grameen Bank is a specialty of Bangladesh. It can be used in Bangladesh, but in the United States and Europe it definitely won't work. If you put it in China, that's what I said, it will be severely acclimatized. Will this make a big difference? Zhang Chen asked. Of course, Xiaofang said. Bangladesh has two characteristics, that is, the vast number of customers of Bangladesh Grameen Bank have two significant characteristics. One is devout Buddhists. In their beliefs, fraud will be punished. And another characteristic is that those people are farmers who have never left a radius of 50 kilometers in their lives, and the mobility of the population is very low. Just like in our hometown a few decades ago, it was the same. People basically didn't go out. If you gave them money, you wouldn't be afraid of them escaping from work. In addition, in every village, there are one or two highly respected people. You just need to develop these people into salesmen of your bank, and the money will be released through them. They will know exactly who can release it and how much can be released. The debtor is not mobile, and there is an indirect credit guarantee from the villagers. This is the best risk control. With such a loan, do you still have to worry about repayment? If someone fails to repay, he will almost be forced to leave his hometown. And in countries with very low population mobility, leaving one's hometown means there is no way to survive. But now, do we still have such conditions? Since such conditions are gone, if you try to build such a financial institution again, it will become a castle in the air. How can it have vitality? Going back to these internet financial platforms, although the entire regulatory system does not exist yet, there are still other laws that can restrict them. For example, the platform cannot finance itself and cannot collect funds as a fund pool. If you do this, you can qualitatively to raise funds illegally, that is to say, you can only lend me your money, and the platform only serves as an intermediary and information provider. But in fact, everyone is playing around with the edges. There are breakpoints in the middle. When you give money to the platform, the customers who borrow money are not selected by you yourself. You don't know whether they have the ability to repay. The reality is still the platform is doing it, and risk assessment is also done by the platform. Where can the platform have so much manpower and energy to do this? Risk control is the most crucial in all financial activities. If this link is missing, it means it is completely open. As long as your money goes out, every penny is not guaranteed. But because the platform will matching is done in a pretentious manner, and the actual contract is signed between you and the borrower. In this way, the platform shirks its own responsibilities, and your money will definitely be lost. Zhang Chen felt that he vaguely felt this when listening to what Mr. Huang and the others were saying, but he did not think about it in such detail. Zhang Chen asked. Then tell me, why can't they control the risk? How to control it? If they have to investigate and verify each loan amount of several thousand, the money will not be enough for them as travel expenses. Due diligence is a very time-consuming and energy-consuming job. If due diligence is not done, it will when you lend money, you bear all the risks yourself. Due diligence is the basic skill of a financial enterprise. Do you know why our risk control is better than that of banks? Zhang Chen shook his head. Our due diligence is more solid and in-depth than theirs. For example, when banks lend, Loan officers and risk control will look at the company's statements, but everyone knows that the statements provided by companies to banks and tax authorities are different. The risk is even lower if you go to the tax department to get the company's statements, but they don't. They just rely on what the company provides itself. What's the use of that? What about you? Zhang Chen asked. We basically don't look at the reports. For example, if I want to give you money for the factory, what will I look at? I will check your monthly electricity and water bills, the cost of buying food in the employee canteen, and the cost of buying food in your employee cafeteria. The cost of sewing thread, buying needles, and even clothing packaging bags, although these costs are small, they can truly reflect the actual operating conditions of your factory. If I take out your relevant data for several months this year and last year, I can clearly know your monthly production changes, and then based on the changes in inventory, I can know your true sales. These data are the most real and cannot deceive people. I will rate your company based on these data. Can risk control be better than that of banks? Zhang Chen nodded and said, this is true. Thank you for your monthly votes from Very Kachin Fei, Book Friends 202011091113511923, Kuzio Kyokiu, Once Upon a Mountain, Jinwu Lanji, Book Friends 202106071021199959, Lugo Lugo Wuchin One Flower One World, and How. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1860. By the way, this industry you mentioned will eventually turn into a gangster society, so what's going on? Zhang Chen asks Xiao Fang. It's very simple. Let's first see how the money goes out. Xiao Fang said, it's so easy for you to borrow money from these platforms now. As long as you have a business license, a company can borrow several money from different platforms. The money can be transferred to an individual with an ID card. The borrower's loan information on all these platforms is not entered into the central bank's credit system. When applying for a loan at a bank, the bank only needs to check your corporate or personal credit report, how many loans you have, which banks you have borrowed from, including corporate legal persons, whether you have loans, how many credit cards you have in total, etc., clear at a glance. If you have a large number of loans that exceed the current scale of your business and involve many banks, the bank will be alert and they will feel that your use of funds is abnormal. Moreover, if you need funds, why not go to the same bank? Enlarging the credit scale. Generally speaking, if your business is operating well, the bank will continue to enlarge the loan limit for you. At the same time, including whether your loan is overdue, whether you have any interest arrears, the repayment record of the corporate credit card, etc., are all on it. As long as you have a bad credit record, no bank will lend you another loan. As I said before, the risk control of these platforms is completely blank, and it is not included in the credit reporting system management. This means that even if the borrowers do not repay their money, it will not affect the credit reporting of enterprises and individuals. Under such circumstances, their money is not just put away, but all the money will be lost in the end. Coupled with high interest rates, this weakens the borrower's repayment ability and further expands the risk. What should you do if you don't get the money back? If you owe a credit card, the bank can call the police or at least go to court to sue you. The same is true if your company owes a loan. The bank can sue you and enforce your collateral or you and the guarantor. As for the assets, the bank has at least implemented early guarantee measures in this regard. As for these platforms, there are basically no guarantee measures, and there is no way to sue you. Even if you sue, there is no way for him to win. Why is this? Zhang Chen didn't understand. Why can't he even sue you? The money he gives you is not his own. If it is his own money, he will be suspected of illegal fundraising. It is the own funds of their platform. Because they do not have a financial license, they cannot engage in financial business. No, say that he will lend you his own money directly. Even if he wants to lend you money, he can only use an entrusted loan through a bank. By the way, although in actual business activities, it is common for companies to borrow money from each other, this is actually not allowed by law. Borrowing funds between companies is not allowed, let alone collecting funds. Interest, so this kind of money can only be recorded as current money in accounting. However, if the current money is not returned after a certain period of time, it is also illegal. All these online loan platforms, in name, can only be said to play the role of information transmission. When implemented in the contract, it is peer-to-peer. My money is lent to you, although it is actually my money that arrived on the platform first, or the platform will help me split it up and lend it out. I will give you 10,000 yuan. The platform will lend the money to 3 or 4 people. When it is implemented in the contract, it is a contract between me and you or those 3 or 4 people. Then the question arises. How can the platform sue you if you owe money and haven't repaid it? You have no borrowing relationship with the platform. Even if you want to sue, I will sue. In the contract, I am the lender, but in fact, how can I sue? 10,000 yuan is not enough for me to sue several people, hire a lawyer to pay the litigation fees, and the related expenses, right? Needless to say, there are other losses involved, such as the issue that excessive interest rates are not protected by law and the issue of beheading interest. If a borrower borrows $1,000 from these platforms, the borrower may actually get $9,000. Yes, interest and other expenses are deducted first, but legally, these are not recognized. The so-called interest has only one calculation method legally, and that is after you use the principal, interest will accrue. Therefore, when it comes to court, the borrower's loan can only be calculated as 900, not 1,000. In this way, I will suffer losses as soon as I sue. What's more, as I said before, there is no way to sue. It is too difficult. Then I am a lender, what should I do if I want to get my principal back? There is still a way. Many platforms mistakenly believe that they can evade their repayment responsibilities, but in fact they cannot. As long as my money is not transferred directly to you, but is transferred to the platform account, I can sue the platform. Even if I have no contract with the platform, I can also sue for unjust enrichment, and I have the right to get the money back. The platform cannot escape this responsibility. What's more, if there are too many such things and the public security intervenes, they will directly investigate the platform as a disguised illegal fundraising. The reason is that your platform is actually self-financing. Therefore, at this time, the platform has only 2 options. 1. The idea is to find a way to repay this part of the money without causing a thunderstorm, or to run away. What should I do if the platform does not want to run away, but has no money to repay, and it is impossible for it to sue the borrower? The simplest and cheapest way is to use private relief, that is, to use underworld methods to ask for money. So, in the end, this entire industry will become a gangster, which is an inevitable result. In other words, as soon as we start to crack down on the underworld, a large number of bad debts will appear on these platforms. Now even the credit card debt collection companies entrusted by banks have already become underworld-oriented, let alone them. Zhang Chen nodded. He felt that what Xiaofang said made sense, but he still had a question in his mind. He said, "But when I was eating earlier, companies in Hangzhou all had money to entrust Mr. Huang and his company to launch their platforms. I didn't hear them say that such a thing had happened. That's because the time has not come yet. In 1 or 2 years, these problems will explode." Xiaofang said, "From last year to this year, how many such platforms have appeared, and those borrowers are switching from different platforms when you are borrowing money, you don't know it at all. As I said before, these are not subject to credit reporting. No one knows the actual situation at all. Are you saying that their repayments were actually borrowed from other platforms? Zhang Chen asked. Yes, to be precise, it's a U-turn of funds. He owes this platform 2,000. When the repayment date comes, he borrows 2,000 from other platforms to pay it back. You thought he had good credit, so he will borrow another 2,000 from you tomorrow. 5,000 or 3,000, that's it? A borrower operates dozens of platforms at the same time, moves funds between these platforms, and snowballs his debt. But there will always be a day when they can't get out. As long as there is a group of people who can't get out, the money they owe to all the platforms will become bad debts. These borrowers can be said to connect all the platforms through their debts if they are connected together. As long as this group of people can't move away, the risks of the entire industry will come. As long as the P2P mine explodes, it will explode in a series. Some people have been telling regulators that the risks of small loans are low. Who said the risks of small loans are low? If a person needs to borrow even 2,000, do you think it is easy for him to repay the 2,000? Is it? The risk is actually the same as owing 20 billion, 2 million. When I see the current situation of internet finance in our country, do you know what I think of? Xiao Fang looked at Zhang Chen and asked. Zhang Chen shook his head and asked, what did you think of? Thinking of Fannie and Freddie. It was the subprime mortgage crisis that caused the collapse of the entire Wall Street in 2008. The logic is the same. Fannie and Freddie sold houses to people who were unable to buy houses. Our current P2P finance is to transfer a large amount of money, lend it to someone who has no ability to repay it. If you are not careful, the thunder that explodes will not be smaller than that of Fan Fang. Xiao Fang sighed as she spoke, and said, actually, what I told you was written into an article when I was abroad this time to remind the supervisors to pay attention. But unfortunately, no domestic media was willing to publish it. I think it's inappropriate. The higher UPS are still encouraging internet innovation, so you're here to pour cold water on it? The media in Hong Kong are willing to publish it, but what's the use? Hearing what Xiao Fang said, Zhang Chen also felt that this matter was important. He thought for a while and said to Xiao Fang, give me this article. What do you want to do? Xiao Fang asked curiously. I think you are right. I will send your article to Sun Ho and Li Yong tomorrow to see if I can pass on your opinions through them and attract the attention of the higher UPS. Zhang Chen said to Xiao Fang. Xiao Fang nodded and said yes. Zhang Chen thought of another thing, and asked, according to you, Zheng Huiyang's company will also have risks. Aren't they also doing business loans for those sellers? And their Huobi, isn't it with credit cards, almost? It's different. They use big data analysis to do risk control through technical means. It can be said that they do better than banks and us. We don't have such technical means. Xiao Fang looked at Zhang Chen and continued. Their entrepreneurial loans are cooperated with China Construction Bank. They are issued through China Construction Bank, and there are no problems with compliance. Technically, they rely on big data analysis. For example, how many goods does your company sell with them every month? They have data on how many raw materials there are, and with the joint guarantee of 3 companies, the risk control is very good. As for Huobi you mentioned, the same is true. Their credit limit is also based on your behavior on Debo.com, after collecting all your data, and making a precise analysis. Based on this, your credit limit and repayment ability are determined. How much do you spend online each month, including whether you consume necessities, luxury goods, snacks, etc. From each of your purchases, the computer will calculate whether you have surplus food. For example, if you only buy daily necessities on Dobeo.com every month, Your economic conditions will definitely be inferior to those who often buy snacks and luxury. The quality of your life can also be analyzed based on the quality of the things you buy. Similar to this, computers can have tens of thousands of analysis methods to dissect you and understand you better than you know yourself. The judgments made using big data are more objective and solid than those we rely on manually. This is why I say we can't do it, but we can judge the future of this company through communication with the management team. This is something that computers can't do. Thank you HYGJCY, Deos Hung 123, third from top to bottom, Dal Tin Soldier, 3 o'clock in the middle of the night, flipping through books every day, and rewarding 2 fishes. Thank you for the water chestnut in the lake, Lulu 6717P11, at Invisible Man, me 197900607, Freedom After the Rain, Purple Want to Wander, Little Brother Who Eats Fish, Wandering Idlers, Book Friends 160403163531329, Book Friends 120622101009159, Deng 30, Midnight Wu GEC, Little Gatekeeper, 00 Surrender and Lose Half 00, Flying Bat Cage and EI, La Fi Night, Huaxin Yongxiao, Pialing Yau, Book Friends 140420214337580, Zipanjiang 1, Guandian Electromechanical, Xiang J, Silent Heart, ZL59, Lamishia. Book Friends 201911021135467118, Book Friends 2017051801320640, Rainman, Pyo Xiaofan, you know whether a book is good or not, Chenbei's Hidian, Dong Long Dong, Kissing Pig, Tianzong Hong, Book Friends 201805231128576605, Book Friends 0910261531555820, 13990178048 monthly votes for QDCN, Linjaha, Gongzimian Z, Kinkanba, Lao Chantang, Book Friends 201705171725155577, Book Friends 202106301838577013. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1861. The emergence of the Internet has indeed subverted many traditional economic models and brought new development opportunities. However, at the same time, various financial frauds similar to Ponzi schemes have also appeared on the Internet after being reshaped. For example, now in China the emergence of mutual finance is a typical Ponzi scheme. Xiaofang said, the so-called mutual finance in this scam is to let you deposit a sum of money into the platform first, and you will get 1% interest every day, 1 cycle per month, and it will be automatically liquidated after 1 month, and you can get 100% a huge profit of 30, that is, if you deposit 10,000 yuan, you can get 13,000 yuan after 1 month. How is it possible? Even drug trafficking does not bring such huge profits, Zhang Chen said. But it's still possible, and some people actually get the 30% profit after saving. These people, in turn, will use their own experience to attract more relatives and friends to join in. I estimate that soon someone will come to you to do something like this. This is actually a game of beating the drum and passing the flowers. Those who enter first can indeed get the money, but this money is not investment profit, but the people behind. Money deposited. This is another snowball. As long as people continue to come in, the game can continue. Once no one comes in, or the number of people coming in is decreasing, it will collapse immediately. This scam, in the beginning, because it really let people when many people make money, it becomes even more tempting and deceptive. Those who make money will also invest more money, but in the end they will lose everything. Zhang Chen said, it's like gambling. If you don't see the winner, you will stop gambling immediately. He will definitely come in again and want to win more. Yes, that's right, Xiaofang said. This scam was first launched in 1990 by a Russian named MaleProtagonist, who deceived millions of investors. When it finally collapsed, this scam he was arrested by the Russian government and imprisoned for more than 4 years. Mutual Finance has switched from offline to online and has made a comeback in China. The starting point is still in our Zhejiang province. It was started by a few people from Jinhua. At the earliest, they came to me and wanted me to work for them, endorse and provide the initial money to set up the website and form the company. In their promotional materials, they packaged MaleProtagonist as a mathematician. In fact, this trick is all that is needed for mathematicians. Elementary school students know how to do it. It is to beat the drum and pass the flowers. When the drum stops, the flowers are still there. When it was in the hands of others, these people smashed it in and lost everything. Of course I exposed their trick at a glance and rejected it on the spot. Unexpectedly, various variants have emerged in China, such as Morgan Coin. The techniques are the same. The name Morgan Coin is intended to make people, and Wall Street investment bank JP Morgan makes the connection even more confusing. But in fact, they have nothing to do with Morgan Stanley. Although there are many world-leading mathematicians in Morgan Stanley who design models every day, these models are indeed deceptive to a certain extent, but they are used to deceive. Other financial institutions are big frauds and would not design something like this to deceive the vegetable market ladies. So what about Bitcoin? Zhang Chen asked. Bitcoin is just an algorithm for the internet, not a real currency. Xiaofang said, real currency must have several characteristics. One is free circulation, the other is equivalent exchange, and the third is relative stability of currency value. If it is unstable, it will affect the freedom of equivalent exchange and circulation. You think about it, if you have 10 yuan, you can buy 5 kilograms of rice in the morning, 3 kilograms in the afternoon, and maybe 8 kilograms tomorrow. What will happen to this currency? Bitcoin cannot circulate freely now, and its currency value is also unstable. It can be said that it does not have the basic characteristics of a currency. Its biggest characteristic is that it can make people speculate. To be precise, it is more like a game. Equipment is also a computer algorithm. If there are many people in demand, the price can skyrocket. If no one wants it, the price can plummet. As a currency, the most important thing is whether there is any endorsement behind it. Before the Bretton Woods system, the US dollar was linked to gold, and its value was backed by gold. But now the currencies of various countries are backed by the credit of each country's government. Yes, government credit is not an empty thing. It is composed of all the resources and land of this country, its national defense and GDP. Only when a country's government credit goes bankrupt will that country's currency plummet. Relatively speaking, a country's government credit goes bankrupt without the impact of extreme events. It is the least likely thing to happen. This is the most likely outcome for a currency. A strong endorsement is a guarantee. But Bitcoin does not have such a guarantee system. The reason why it still has value is that various stories and expectations support it. In layman's terms, that is, everyone recognizes it and recognizes it. Once these expectations are no longer there, everyone will treat it. When you are indifferent, it will be worthless. If you own a huge amount of Bitcoin, the Bitcoin itself will not change, but you will face the tragic situation of being unable to redeem it. Real currency rarely has such a possibility. In this way, you should know that Bitcoin does not mean that it is valuable when it skyrockets, but that it is not valuable at any time. A bunch of code, it just depends on how many people think it is valuable, and no one agrees with it. It is an algorithm that will be quickly forgotten. The two of them were talking like this, and it was past 1 o'clock before they knew it. Xiaofang had slept during the day and was still not sleepy at all. Zhang Chen was not sleepy either. He asked Xiaofang, "Are you hungry?" Xiaofang giggled, "I got hungry when you asked me." Then let's go to Huanglong to eat seafood. As soon as Zhang Chen said this, Xiaofang jumped up from the sofa and shouted, "Come on, please invite me." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Okay, after listening to the class all night, I want to flatter the teacher." The next day, Zhang Chen sent Xiaofang's article to Li Yong and Sun Ho. 10 minutes later, Li Yong called Zhang Chen and told him, "Zhang Chen, I read Xiaofang's article, and her reminder is indeed very correct. The current approach to internet finance is likely to form a huge bubble. Let us change the efforts we have made over the past 30 years and build a bubble in the future." When it was shattered, it was also burned down, which had a great impact on us. I immediately submitted Xiaofang's article to attract the attention of the higher authorities. Zhang Chen said excitedly, "Thank you, Li Yong." Xiaofang was on Wall Street and experienced the entire subprime crisis firsthand. She was very worried when she saw such a scene. Unfortunately, she was a low-key person. She wrote an article, but no media dared to publish it. She thought it's untimely and I have no choice, so I just thought of sending it to you. There are intact eggs under the cover of the nest. If the economy really collapses, how can we survive alone? You're right, Zhang Chen. Li Yong said, "Thank Xiaofang for me first, and tell her that I will definitely not let her voice be annihilated. By the way, Zhang Chen, and you tell Xiaofang to be careful. One thing, be sure to pay attention to safety." Zhang Chen was shocked and asked quickly, "What's wrong, Li Yong?" "Zhang Chen, if Xiaofang is the first person to burst this bubble, do you know how many people's cheese she has touched?" Li Yong said. Zhang Chen understood immediately, and he said, "Yes, I understand." After hanging up the phone, Zhang Chen called Xiaofang. Xiaofang was very happy to hear it. Zhang Chen took the phone and waited for Xiaofang to be happy for a while. Then he told Xiaofang Li Yong's reminder. Xiaofang said it was okay. "I'm just expressing my own opinion. You really have to be careful. Li Yong is right to remind you. What you express is your opinion, but what you touch is the real interests of others. You must not be careless about this," Zhang Chen said. Xiaofang said, "Okay, I understand." After hanging up the phone, Zhang Chen thought for a moment. He called Xiao Wu and told Xiao Wu about the matter. Xiao Wu said, "Among the people we have trained, there is a woman with very powerful hands and feet, just 2 or 3. Even men can't beat her. How about transferring her over to work as Xiaofang's assistant and letting her follow Xiaofang?" "Great, Xiao Wu," Zhang Chen said. "Where is this person now?" "Xiang's sister is at our logistics base in Changsha now," Xiao Wu said. "I will transfer her over right away." "Brother Chen, there is just a problem." "What's the problem?" Zhang Chen asked. "She may not have a driver's license yet," Xiao Wu said. "It doesn't matter. Let her follow Xiaofang first. She only needs to follow her when going to and from get off work. When she gets to work, she will be fine. I will ask Hagen to tell the security guards of the industrial park to be more careful. When Xiaofang goes to work, she can go learn to drive." After Zhang Chen finished speaking, Xiao Wu nodded and said, "Then I'll arrange for her to come over right away, Brother Chen." That evening, before Xiaofang got off work, she saw Zhang Chen walking in. When Xiaofang saw him, she asked strangely, "Is there something going on here in the factory?" Zhang Chen nodded vaguely and did not explain. When Xiaofang got off work and the two of them were on their way home, Zhang Chen told Xiaofang what he and Xiao had discussed, and Xiaofang chuckled. "Get up. Dear, I understand. Did you come to pick me up from get off work today?" Zhang Chen nodded and said yes. "I will take you to work tomorrow. Before she arrives, I will pick you up." Xiaofang kept laughing and said, "You guys are making too much fuss." "No, I really don't dare to be careless." "Li Yong's reminder is right," Zhang Chen said. Xiaofang shook her head and said, "None of my articles have been published, and no one has seen them yet. Even if they may touch anyone's interests, they don't exist now. I also said this to Li Yong, and Li Yong reminded me. He said that even if it is not published, you have already sent it to many domestic financial media, right? Do you know how many people have read your article? Articles. There are so many articles in the media advocating financial innovation and internet innovation. How do you know that these media are not related to vested interests? Moreover, if they want to block your voice, they have to block it before it comes out. When Xiao Fang heard what Zhang Chen said, she stopped talking. Zhang Chen reached out and held Xiao Fang's hand and said to her, I don't want to lose you again, just for Zixi, you have to protect yourself, okay? Xiao Fang said and nodded. The next afternoon, the girl Xiao Wu mentioned arrived. Xiao Wu picked her up at the airport and took her to Zhang Chen's office. The girl's name was Zhao Zheng. The girl who arrived with her was Guo's phone number. Huo said to Zhang Chen on the phone. Instructor, the house in my splendid home is vacant. Please let Zhao Zheng live there. In this way, she can go in and out with my aunt every day. My uncle Tan has the key. I have called him at noon. After calling her, he put the keys at your mother's place. You're still thoughtful, second-hand guy, thank you, Zhang Chen hurriedly said to the second-hand guy. Zhang Chen and Xiao Wu first took Zhao Zheng to live in Jingxiu home. Then, Xiao Wu returned to Jibeo's logistics base, and Zhang Chen took Zhao Zheng to Xiao Fang's place. Zhang Chen also asked Xiaoli to help Zhao Zheng find a driving school in the Sky City, so that after Zhao Zheng dropped off Xiao Fang, he could go to the driving school to learn driving. A week later, Li Yong called Zhang Chen. He told Zhang Chen that his superiors wanted Xiao Fang to go to Beijing. The relevant leaders wanted to communicate with Xiao Fang face to face. Zhang Chen agreed, and the next day, Zhang Chen and Zhao Zheng went to Beijing with Xiao Fang. Thank you for the reward at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you for the chairs in the world, Polar Bear 2018, Zizhib, Yunlong Frogfish, Lulu 6717 P11, Lu, very guestchen fei, I have 10 hearts, HGX, Lao Chen Tang, Sinful Orchid Finger, Book Friend 2020091116010970 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone.